Hello, we're only a few weeks off Christmas here at Homegrown Veg. We're in the winter months now, and we're going to harvest these leeks from this ex-cut flower water bucket. And of course, once we get to the other side of Christmas, we're going to start thinking about spring, aren't we? And the things we're going to do in spring to prepare the garden through spring and into the summer months of next year. So I'm going to cover quite a number of topics in this particular video, and this is the right time of year to be doing that. Okay, so we've got 4 leeks in this pot. Okay, this 10-inch cut flower water bucket. We protected them initially with these pop bottles. I hope you can see them. There are 4 stapled together, and then we inserted these liners, these black liners, just to help blanch up the leeks. The liner was to blanch the leek. The pop bottles initially were to support the leek, to stop it falling over and to keep the wind off it. And the reason these guys would fall over is because the flags are quite big, the wind catches them, they are a tall plant, and they're only planted to a depth of about 1 inch, 2 inch in this 10-inch deep pot. There's a reason for that, and that reason I'll explain to you when we harvest the leeks. Okay, but what I'm going to do in the meantime, I'm going to remove these rocket sticks. These were in there simply to support those pop bottles and to support the leeks. Okay, I'll take these off and then we'll take the leeks out. I've removed the liners. These were the liners. Okay, and I've removed the pop bottles. Okay, now you can see the leeks. I'm going to try and lift these leeks out of this pot as a oneer. We're not taking 1, we're not taking 2, we're going to take all 4, and we're going to try and lift them out of this pot in one. That should have loosened the root ball up a bit in the pot. We'll try and get them all out now simply by gripping all 4 leeks, lifting up on the leeks and holding the pot down. Yeah, it's coming up. How's that? There's the root ball. If you were with me when I planted these leeks, you'll recall that I planted them quite shallow, and there's a reason for that. Okay, if you look at where the roots begin, there are no roots above this, the roots are below this, and that tells me the bottom of this leek is probably about there, and the bottom of this leek is probably about there, and all the roots are below the bottom of the leek. So if I put the spade through at about 2 or 3 inches down there, I shouldn't cut the bottom off any of these leeks. Famous last words. And now the other thing is, that's worth remembering, is that had I planted these leeks halfway down this pot, say 5 inches down, then all of these roots would have been in the bottom 5 inches. But because I've planted them shallow, I've managed to get most of the pot filled with root, and I've actually got most of the leek growing above the soil level, and it's blanched up because I used those pop bottles and those inserts. Right, let's put the spade through it and see if this rings true. Okay, let's go about there. Well, I don't feel as though I've hit anything. We'll soon find out. Oh, come on. How good is that? You can't see the bottom of any of those leeks, those 4 leeks. You just can't. Because they were planted that shallow. And the whole of this pot was available for the root system. That's how we do it at Homegrown Veg. Okay, let's break these leeks out. tidy them up and get a better look at them. Now, what I'm going to tell you now is important. Okay, we talked about we're in the winter months, and then we'll be the other side of Christmas, and then it'll be spring, and we'll be starting thinking about what we're going to grow. And probably the first thing you'll be trying to get your hands on, if you're a vegetable gardener, are your seed potatoes. Am I right? You're going to be looking to get your seed potatoes. Right, well, I want you to be a bit more forward thinking than that. Okay. When you get your seed potatoes and you start to chit them up, you know that you're going to be planting them mid-spring, back end of spring. You know that. You also know that midsummer you're going to be harvesting them. Is that correct? You're going to grow these potatoes and then you're going to harvest them. Okay. And what are you going to have on your hands apart from your early potatoes at the beginning of summer? Have a think about it. Right, that's long enough. You're going to have one of these that's empty and all this compost, all this soil. You're going to have one of these that's empty and all this soil. And you're only in the middle of your summer months. Come on, there's time to grow something else, provided you've prepared. So what I'm going to suggest you do is that as you're getting your seed potatoes at the beginning of the year, sow some leek seeds indoors. Sow some leek seeds indoors. That's what I did. Okay. The leeks will then go outdoors at the back end of spring, beginning of summer, to harden off. Your early potatoes will be in your buckets and they'll be growing on. In the middle of summer, when you take these guys out, or early summer when you take the potatoes out, your leeks will be just ready to pot up. You'll be putting 4 leeks in one of these buckets. That's provided you've prepared to do that. So when you get your early potatoes, when you get your next year's potatoes, make sure you sow some leeks, and then we'll follow up the potatoes with the leeks. There is a video on my channel how to get 2 crops from the same pot in the same year using the same soil. This is how you do it. This is the second crop. Earlier this year, this bucket produced potatoes. How good is that? Right, I'm going to tidy these up, we'll have a look at them, then I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing with this soil, because we're now going into the winter months. Clearly there's nothing to plant now. If it was summer, this would be straight back in that pot with a handful of fertiliser and leeks would be going in, but because it's the beginning of winter, this isn't going to be used now till next spring, so we need to do something with it. But let me clean these guys up first and then we'll talk about this. Let's move this bucket to one side and have a look at these leeks. Hold on. How's that looking? Not the biggest leeks in the world, but we weren't trying to grow the biggest leeks in the world. What we were trying to do was get a second crop from the same pot using the same soil in the same growing year. That's the second crop. We already had potatoes in the summer of the year. Now in early winter we're taking leeks. Come on, you can do this. Just remember, when you get your seed potatoes, round about the same time, sow some leeks indoors. Then you're preparing the rest of the growing year. Now then, this is interesting. Let me show you this. I know lots of subscribers have asked me about the dimensions of these buckets. Well, they're about 10 inches across and about 10 inches deep. Okay. Check this out. It's more than 10 inches of wide, isn't it? we've got more than 10 inches of white on a leek that was grown in a 10-inch deep pot. How good is that? You want to give this a go now, don't you? Yeah, you should do. Definitely. Give it a go. Now then, we're going to show you another neat trick. So, just as in summer, you always have some soil left and you always have buckets left and you plant those leeks, your potatoes have come out. But we're now at the beginning of winter and we're planting nothing. But we still have the soil and we still have the bucket. What we're going to do, I'll show you what we're going to do. If you've seen my previous videos on smallest compost pile in the world, you know what we're going to do. This stuff has got to go somewhere. Line it straight back in the pot. Okay, now we're not going to use this now for the best part of 5 months. So this is going to stand in the garden at homegrown veg for 5 months. This is what you should be doing. If you're following my tips, if you're growing in buckets and it's the beginning of your winter, do this. That is a chopped mix of seaweed, leaves. Have a smell, Moll. Doesn't smell, does it? Even Molly's smelling it. Doesn't smell. That's a mix of chopped seaweed and leaves and grass. Okay, that was the last cut of my lawn, plus some seaweed I collected, plus some leaves I connected. There is no smell. Smell it. Molly, smell that. Yep, there is no smell. Watch this. How good is that? Come on. Smallest compost pile in the world. What's going to happen now? This is going to stand for about 5 months. This is going to disappear, and there's only one place it's going, in that pot. And what's going to take it in there? The worms and the organisms and all the little creepy crawlies that live in soil. They're going to eat this. They're going to take it down. And the wind and the rain and the frost and the snow, if we get any, that's going to push it down. And by the spring of next year, this pot will be ready to go. Come on. How many tips is that in one video? Can't count them. Okay, so Moll, come out here. I'll try and get Molly in the shot. I know you like to see Molly. Where you at, Moll? Come round here, look. Come round here. Here. Hey, Moll, come here. In there, come here. The reason Molly isn't out with me today is it's a wee bit cool and there's nothing of interest. There isn't. There's nothing to eat. No potatoes, no carrots, nothing. But she's poked her head outdoors because she spotted the camera. She knew I was up to something. Didn't you, Moll? Come here. You knew I was up to something, didn't you? Yes, you did. Yeah, so that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've taken something from it. And hey, come back with your ideas. This is what gardening's about, sharing ideas, isn't it? I've just shared a few ideas with you. If you've got any for us, send them to Homegrown Veg, and we'll leave them up in the comments for all the other gardeners that follow Homegrown Veg to look at. Okay, that's one more pot added to the pile. I think you can see we take it seriously here at Homegrown Veg. Molly, come round here. Molly has shown one bit of interest in this today, and she's not interested because there's nothing in it for her except what's in my pocket. You know I've got a biscuit in my pocket, don't you? That was the only way I could really persuade her to come out. Do you want this? That nice, sweetheart? That nice? Do you want another? Come round here. Come here. Wait, wait. Last one. Good girl. Hold on, hold on. Good girl. That's it, we can go indoors now. We're all done and dusted. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out. Come on, Mo.